Hello friends, it's David aka Delta G, and I want to show you how you can use the secret extra pin on the back of your UNO R4 board as a touch sensor in your Arduino sketches. If you have one of the R4 boards, either the R4 Minima or the R4 Wi-Fi, then you've probably noticed this little heart-shaped blob of solder on the back of the board. It isn't really mentioned in the documentation, and it sort of looks like a decoration. The first hint at its true function comes when we look at the schematic for the R4 Minima. We see a mysterious net called Love that is attached at pin 204. In the schematic for the R4 Wi-Fi, we find the same mysterious love at pin 113. It turns out that little heart is actually connected to one of the pins on the Renaissance chip. Since it isn't defined in the core, you have to use direct register access to use it for anything. I have seen a few tutorials on how to use this pin as a digital input or output, but a few people have also noticed that if you look in section 1.7 of the hardware manual, you'll find that these pins are also both connected to the capacitive touch sensing unit. That means we can use this little heart as a touch sensor, and I've written a library called LoveButton that will allow you to use it just like a button in your Arduino sketch. To start with, you will need a small capacitor. The size isn't really important. I've used everything from 1 nanofarad to 10 microfarads and it will still work. You will connect this capacitor between the TS cap pin and ground. This pin is in a different location on the two boards. On the R4 Minima, the capacitor goes between pin 10 and ground, and for the R4 Wi-Fi, it goes between pin 7 and ground. You will need to install the LoveButton library in the Arduino IDE. To do that, go to the Library Manager in the IDE and search for LoveButton. Click Install and then Install All to allow it to also install the Event Link Interrupt library, which handles attaching the CTSU interrupts since they aren't included in the core. Next, look in the examples and open the LoveButton toggle example. This example just toggles the built-in LED whenever you touch the sensor. The important functions to take note of are love.begin, which needs to be called once in setup in order to turn on the capacitive touch unit, and love.read, which is how you read the state of the touch sensor. Love.read works just like digital read, except that it returns true and false instead of high and low. Make sure you have the board plugged in with the correct board and port selected and upload the code. Now you can touch the sensor and it will toggle the LED. It's hard to show both sides of the board in the video, so I plugged an LED and a resistor into pin 13 so you can see. But you can run this example at home using just the built-in LED on the board. And now we have a touch-sensitive button that we can use in any Arduino sketch for the UNO R4. The library also includes another example called Debug. This example uses the Love Debug function to print the data from the CTSU directly to the serial monitor for testing or debugging. First, we open up the example and upload it and take a look at the serial output. The first column is the reading from the reference clock. It should stay fairly stable. The second column is the sensor clock. It will change if you touch the sensor. The third column is the difference between the two. This is what the library uses to determine if the sensor is touched or not. When I touch the sensor, you see the difference jump up to a larger value. The library sets a threshold on this value to determine if the sensor is touched. The default value is 23,000. There are a lot of things that can cause these numbers to change though, like the type of enclosure and any stray capacitance to nearby objects. If you find that you aren't registering touches, then you can use the Love Debug function to print the values you are getting, and then use love.setThreshold to set a different threshold value. And that's all you need to start using the secret touch sensor on your Arduino UNO R4 board. I've included links to all the code in the description. Give me a like or let me know in the comments if you like this new library. Be sure to subscribe to the channel because I'll be posting more cool R4 hacks soon.